Okay, so this is actually the first time, despite making these Vanguard videos consistently, well, consistently is a bit of a stretch, but despite making these Vanguard videos for over a year now, this is the first of the 3 arcs that I've actually managed to make it to the end to, in regards to my videos. And because of that, I just kind of want to talk about the series as a whole, this story arc, the Dimensions arc, and also give my opinions on the last episode of the arc, because I still haven't done that yet. And so yes, this is going to be the last of the Dimensions arc videos, and this will be here, of course, you know, for the people who didn't want to watch all the other ones, this will be a more kind of condensed down version of my opinions. The last episode, let's get that out of the way first. It's alright. It's alright. It's fine. It's one of those things where it's like it could only be so good because of everything that happened before. It's very obvious they wanted to end the Dimensions arc with a very clean ending, with an ending that just kind of wrapped everything up. And I don't think they should have went for that, honestly. I don't think they should have went for that, as, you know, I kind of already talked about in my previous Koshin arc video. So I do think everything gets wrapped up a bit too quickly and cleanly here, but at the same time, you know, if you're gonna wrap everything up quickly and cleanly, this isn't the worst way of doing it. The actual character interactions between Korn and the group are alright. I mean, they'd hit harder if they were earned, is the biggest problem. The emotional moments aren't earned, and so because of that, they don't really work, which is a shame because, again, in a different context, I could see this episode getting an emotional response, but it just doesn't, which is a shame. And the way they wrap everything up is weird, the way that, like, Korin kind of approaches Aichi and the others, because the previous episode ended with her having this giant outburst, you know, shouting at Naoki and everything, and them very clearly going out of their way to show the rest of the characters, even the characters in the audience go, "What? What the fuck? That's so weird." But then in the next episode, the characters have practically forgotten it even happened, and it's up to Korin to approach them and go, "Hey, let's talk about the thing from earlier." And they're like, "What thing? What are you doing?" And obviously that's not exactly what happens, I'm exaggerating, but it's so weird. It's as if they forgot her again a second time. And just the way they interact feels off, and I'm sure it's intentional, like, that it feels off because they haven't fully gained their memories back, not until, well, I was gonna say not until the card fight, but even in the card fight they gain some of their memories back, but even after that point they still kind of act weird together. It's really weird. I wouldn't have minded it if it got, you know, more time to flesh out. I don't mind these characters acting weird with each other. In fact, I kind of like it because of the whole memory loss situation, but it doesn't really amount to much. And then, well, that's it. Karin and Aichi have a card fight. The card fight has a surprising amount of screen time considering this arc. And then Misaki gives a hair ribbon to Karin, and then they cut to a few weeks later, a few months, I have no clue how long the time jump is, to Karin leaving again now that the Koshin's over, to a different place. And she's like, "I gotta do tournaments internationally, so I'm leaving," and then gives Misaki her hair ribbon back again. And I feel like that moment of Karin giving Misaki the ribbon back again is kind of sums up the entire episode. It's pointless. In fact, you could argue the entire arc is pointless. By the very definition of the phrase filler arc, nothing's changed. We are basically in the exact same position we were in within the first few episodes of the Deleters arc. The only thing the Dimensions arc served to do was just get us back to the status quo again. The only thing that's different now this time around is that most of the characters are on good terms with Ibuki, and Gnome is still in charge of the Tatsunagis. But other than that, we're back to status quo. And that's it. And that's kind of a problematic ending to an arc, because, I mean, I get that this is a filler arc, but still, that doesn't really excuse it, because there's around about a 50-50 chance as to whether or not we will see more, like whether this will get continued or not, whether we'll see this version of Aichi and everyone back in the leading roles again. Because, I mean, I've got an entire video about the subject matter coming up soon about what they're going to do after the Shin arc. And I don't believe any of the current theories I mean, at the very least, I don't 100% believe one of the current theories. So I'm just gonna kind of review this arc as its own thing and just assume there isn't another arc happening afterwards. And I mean, I get it, it's setting up for a potential G reboot in that, well, everything's back to status quo again. So when we do go to G potentially and have the older version of the characters, well, you know, they've already wrapped up their stuff, so they can feel free to just kind of browse on by in the G reboot, and it works, I guess. I don't know, if the end of this arc definitely makes it feel like they haven't fully committed to what they're doing next. You know, they went with intentionally the most clean ending possible, specifically so that whatever arc they decide to do after the Shin arc, they can do it. And I don't love that, but oh well. So let's talk about the arc as a whole. Controversial opinion incoming, although then again, you know, all of my Vanguard reboot anime opinions seem to be controversial so far. This is easily the best arc of the reboot so far, not including the Shin one, because, you know, Shin arc is too early on to give any definitive opinion on. Yeah, this is the best one. Easily. This is the only one I even came close to liking overall, actually. Yeah, and let's talk about that for a bit, I guess. Yeah, this arc is the best one. Genuinely, this is the one that's actually got me excited about Vanguard again. You know that video I made a while ago that was literally called I'm excited for Vanguard again? Yeah, that was true. At one point in time, I was genuinely excited, and yeah, this arc is the best one. At the very least, it has the best ratio of good episodes to bad episodes. This arc is easily the only arc of the reboot to have more outright good episodes than bad ones. At least in my opinion. Of course, your opinion may be different. And of course, well, it's fairly obvious as to what the reason is. It's because it's the shortest one. It being the shortest arc is kind of like, you know, it's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because, well, yes, they're given less episodes to fuck it up in, so we do have more good episodes compared to bad ones, but also, you know, the bad ones are even worse because they have to get rushed by so quickly, even though we're over 60 episodes through this anime at this point. It's kind of ridiculous. So I guess I should talk a bit more in detail about this. Okay, so the Dimensions arc in and of itself is split into 3 very, like, distinct arcs, I guess. There's the first 4 or so episodes, which is the Student Council arc. There's episode like 5 to 9, I think, which is, I don't know what to call it, but like the Ibuki arc, I guess, where everyone gets undeleted. And then there's the Koshien, which is the rest of the arc, so around 9 to 14. And yes, everything in the Koshien arc is pretty bad, but everything before that point is pretty good. So by that metric, there's more good episodes than bad episodes, in my opinion. And the good episodes are really good. They're really good. You know, like in like the undone Delita stuff, I really loved. I genuinely. They were extremely good episodes, and they really captured what I would have wanted from a reboot. Now, of course, what would I have wanted from a reboot? Nothing at all, thanks. Do new stuff instead, please. But at the same time, if they had to do a reboot, you may as well do new stuff with it, and people getting undone and reversing the deletion was something that the original anime never even got the chance to do. And so, by doing it here, that's something new, and it's an interesting dynamic. It was really cool seeing all these characters undelete themselves, and it was cool to see them do it in different ways. And it worked for the more character-focused arc, because, well, yeah, by undeleting themselves, we learn a lot about the characters. And, you know, the characters get their passion for CardFight Vanguard back, which I wanted to think was like a meta-narrative, where like the characters in the show get excited for Vanguard and thus the audience watching also get their passion back, but no, the Koshien really does disprove that theory, eh? And the Student Council stuff is pretty by the numbers, actually. It's the Student Council arc is about as good as the beginning to the other 2 arcs, where every arc has had a beginning 4 or 5 episodes that are pretty good, that do a decent job of introducing the characters. And the Student Council arc was just that again. And it's pretty good. It doesn't get paid off in the Koshien, but what does? The Koshien is pretty bad. The Koshien kind of squanders all of the excellent setup, which is a shame because there's, well, so much you could do with it. Especially considering that it's our first proper tournament of the reboot so far. I mean, there's other stuff earlier, like the very small glimpse we get at the Asia circuit, but not much. This is the closest we get to an actual tournament in the reboot so far. And I saw some people saying that, well, it was one person in specific who basically told me that, well, pretty angrily too, that, well, the Koshien in the manga didn't really show any of the card fights either, and so why would the anime be obligated to? And I feel like this is a subject matter that, boy, that one question in and of itself gets me annoyed, because I've read the manga. The Koshien in the manga is a single chapter long. It is not supposed to be the Koshien. Okay, basically, in the manga, the Deleted arc happens, and then we get one chapter of Koshien to kind of pick up as an epilogue, to kind of pick up where the characters are, to kind of end the manga by showing us what the characters are up to nowadays. And so by having a flash forward to the Koshien, it's like, okay, cool, this is what the characters are doing nowadays. When the anime takes that and fleshes it out to being an entire story arc, even if it's only a 14 episode long one, you're obligated to fill in the gaps. And it does at first by doing the student council stuff and the Ibuki undeleting stuff. And so the actual tournament is also obligated to do that. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't go, well, the manga didn't show the card fights, so this doesn't have to either. I'm like, yeah, but the manga didn't show the student council stuff, and it didn't show the Ibuki redemption arc stuff, and it didn't show a lot of other stuff too. The anime is different. That's the point, right? The anime is supposed to change stuff, and again, this arc of the anime did change quite a lot. You can't take one single manga chapter and flesh it out to a 14 episode long arc and then excuse them for skipping stuff out. It baffles me. So that's what I think of that. It's funny because, again, this is actually by far my favorite of the reboot arcs, which is a shame because, again, it's the one with the biggest problem in terms of pacing, and that, again, it's the interesting stuff that they set up, like the character dynamics and stuff, never really get paid off. So yeah, I don't know if I have much else to really say other than that. It's a very simple arc. It can basically just be summed up as the first few episodes do a really good job of setting stuff up for the most part. I still have my problems with some of the stuff early on, but it's solid as far as reboot goes. But then the Koshien just sucks. It just sucks. The Koshien sucks. And once again, I must add the question, would I give up the Shinemon arc, or at least, push it backwards a few months so that we could flesh this arc out? Absolutely. Like, as much as I wanted the reboot stuff to be done and over as quick as possible, if you're gonna do it, you may as well do it properly and actually, flesh everything out. Otherwise, why are you doing it in the first place? Doing something like this and then rushing it pleases no one. I guess that's all I had to say about the Dimension arc for now. It's a very simple arc. It's easily my favorite though still, because it's trying. It's the only of the 3 arcs so far to actually feel like earnest and genuine in places. The rest just feels so cynical and crap, and like it's trying too hard to be dark. Whereas this is doing better. It's doing better. And so yeah, I'm going to be talking about the Shinemon arc more in future videos. As of time of recording this, we're like, 5 or 6 episodes through? Which is ridiculous because I've only seen 2 episodes. But I'll catch up. I caught up with the Dimension arc pretty quick. I'll catch up with the Shinemon arc pretty quick too. So I'll see you then when I talk about the Shinemon arc.